Just trying to build a playlist for last year's prom season, and I ran into a problem. Where did all the current dance songs go? Not the songs with happy lyrics, not the technically popular songs. I mean the songs that come out and people feel the need to get on the dance floor. Songs that you can feel the drop, something with like a big chorus and something that makes people move and want to dance before they even decide whether they like it. Think Call Me Maybe by Carly Rae Jepsen. That one, people liked the song and felt kind of like a guilty pleasure, kind of like K-pop Demon Hunters. But I was like, yeah, this one's got me going. So now I kept scrolling through the current hits, but there weren't just many of them, if at all, any. There were slow songs, moody songs, Gen Z vibe, I like to call it, and songs that sound like you're staring through a car window in a rainy day. And there were songs you could sing along to, but they're not going to make you get up and dance. Think of Drop Dead by Olivia Rodrigo. You're going to sing along to it, but it's more like sway back and forth kind of feel than it is, yeah, this is great. So there aren't many songs to choose from the current Billboard Top 100 that could be like, yes, this could feel a dance floor. I've been DJing since the mid 2000s and making playlists for dance floors for almost 20 years. And this is the first time I ever felt like the current hits aren't filling the dance floor themselves. So, what happened to the fun pop music? Look at 2006 when I first started DJing. Yeah, Temperature by Sean Paul, Hips Don't Lie by Shakira, Sexy Back Justin Timberlake, Every Time We Touch by Cascada, My Homes by Black Eyed Peas, and Pump It by Black Eyed Peas. Huge dance hits. And that was also the time with the emo pop punk scene was big. Sure, we're going down swinging. Not a dance song, but people loved pop music, and that was the start in 2006. And then let's jump to 2012. Call Me Maybe was the year that came out. We Found Love, Rihanna, Starships by Nicki Minaj, Glad You Came by The Wanted, Good Feeling by Flo Rida, which is a sample of Avicii. So Avicii was big those days with Levels. The Sex and You Know It, Party Rock Anthem, LMF were the big songs of those years. And those songs were everywhere, not just on the internet. They're on the radio. People were talking about it and just playing out and about. You didn't need to know the artist's backstory. You didn't need to listen to it 3 times before it made sense. If you just liked how it sounded. What does My Hips Don't Lie? And I'm Bringing Sexy Back Even mean? Where does sexy go? We're just having a good time listening to music. Then let's jump another 6 years to 28. And this is where the charts started to become slower, a little darker sounding, and more minimalistic. There wasn't that big electronic sound, the big guitar sounds. You had songs that were popular. Dua Lipa started out with New Rules. Havana, Camila Cabello, and Bad Bunny started to semi get popular in 2018. But these aren't songs that were filling dance floors. People just kind of, oh, I like these songs. And then 2020 happened and pandemic lockdowns, and everybody was by themselves. That didn't create the entire shift, but I think it accelerated something that already was starting. For a while, music was being designed for a group experience, listening to it in clubs, parties, school dances, just where large groups of people were. But now people started listening to music by themselves. They had to stay inside by themselves, listen to TikTok songs that played in the background of the videos. For music in 2020, 2021, you only had to make music for people that listened to it by themselves and not for music for 300 people in a gymnasium. I'm not saying that's the reason, but it continued that trend. And when I say current pop songs feel sadder, I'm not talking about the lyrics. A song could be about the worst day of your life and still have an incredible sound to it. Maroon 5 was the biggest thing for that. They had happy sounding songs, but with the most depressing lyrics. And then the sad sounding songs with the happiest lyrics. When I think of danceable music, it's usually something that's around 120 to 140 beats per minute. It's not an absolute rule, but it's a useful range. A lot of the current songs that I was considering for my prom playlists were either below that range or didn't have enough rhythmic punch to really pull the weight of the song to make it dance. The only one that I could find was I Just Might by Bruno Mars. It's the only one that was on the Billboard Hot 100. I also use Spotify's Hot Hits USA and Today's Top Hits playlists. And in those, I could only find Man Child by Sabrina Carpenter, which was a little closer to that beats per minute range of 123 beats per minute. I have a rule when I make my DJ playlist that any song that's roughly older than 6 months starts to feel like it's getting overplayed and it loses its oomph to it. So I tend to retire that song and then 2 years afterwards bring it back as like a throwback. So having those two songs kind of on the slower end and them being older than 6 months, it's just that the popularity of a song now doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be put onto a dance floor. For this past prom season, I had to use remixes of pop songs. Luckily, K-pop Demon Hunters came out, and that was still popular in the spring, not so much now. And I had to use older music as the majority of my playlist. Typically, my playlists were about 80% current pop music, and now it's barely 20 if you're doing the 80-20 Pareto principle. For the first time since I've started DJing, the top part of my DJ playlist that I have for the current pop hits, I had to start mixing in older songs. And that started to make me thinking that was the real change not simply the music? Maybe the entire idea of mainstream music has changed. When I started DJing, there was still radio, MTV, barely, school dances, and people were still going to clubs, and they were pushing out a lot of those same songs. That created a shared musical experience. You might hear of the term monoculture, and that is pretty much dead or is on life support. You could play pretty much any major current hit, and most of the people in the room would recognize it immediately. Now everyone has access to almost every recorded song ever on demand, thanks to the streaming service of Apple Music, Spotify, and the like. One person can listen to country, the other person listens to K-pop, the other person listens to underground dance music, the other person listens to rock, you name it. It's a lot more subculture than it is that monoculture now. And that could be a good thing. So your personal taste now is more emphasized. So you could like music more. When I listen to Spotify, there are now these personalized playlists, which are nice if I'm just going for a run. But I'm having a hard time following what is the popular song and having those mix into my playlists. It's just really that specific genre as opposed to what is generally popular. I would listen to what is generally popular, but now if you look at Billboard's Hot 100, Drake drops an album, it's 10 of the top 15. Ariana Grande just dropped an album, it's like 10 of the top 15. So it's harder to follow. You kind of have to figure out which is their hit song and kind of ignore the rest of that artist that just dropped an album. We still have popular music. It's just less of shared, experienced popular music. So where did the fun music go? I don't think it disappeared. I just think it moved outside from that center experience. You can still find it in EDM remixes, K-pop. Latin music is big now. It's been big for several years in America. There's country pop, and there's the smaller dance scenes and songs that maybe become big in those smaller audiences without ever becoming known by everyone in America. And that kind of changes my job as a DJ. Used to be keep up with the hits and choose the right songs out of those popular ones. Now it's search everywhere, find the energy yourself, and build playlists from feeling. I listen to the whole song. I have to really zone in and capture that feeling of that song before I can decide what section in my playlist I can put it and get that feeling of that song and internalize it. I can get everyone transitioning from feeling to feeling throughout the event. I still miss of the kind of pop song that I can put on and it just pulls everyone out of their chair onto the dance floor. Maybe fun pop music didn't disappear. Maybe you just have to dig deep into Spotify and your streaming services and YouTube. Thank you.